So another setting on your camera that is a manual setting that's really important is the color temperature. You'll see on the back of your camera when you go to color temperature that there's a number on there that's like a 5600K number or 5500K, and that is the measurement of color in Kelvin. That is what will allow you to adjust the color settings manually so that you can white balance your images and get neutral skin tones, or you can also use it so that you can get some creative colors. Like let's say you want an image to have kind of a blue tone, you can do that here. If you want the image to have a really, really warm tone, you can do that as well. So the scale is essentially that on the bookend of warmth, you're going to have candlelight at like 2000 to 2500 Kelvin. So if you're in a room that is lit by candlelight, you can set your camera to 2500 and it's going to make it to where the skin tones are neutral. If you are under fluorescent lighting, like let's say you're in an office building or a school and they have those overhead lights that always give that ugly greenish tone, you can set your camera to 4300K and that's gonna make everything neutral. You're gonna get rid of that garish greenish look. If you are in broad daylight, you wanna set it between 5200 and 5600. I always set mine to 5200. I'll go over that more in a second. And if you are in overcast, that is a much cooler light and you can set it to 7000 and that'll make it so it's not so blue. So also if you're doing portraits in like an open shade setting, so let's say that you're photographing someone, you're doing portraits and you have them standing against a wall that has an overhang over it and you look at the back of your camera and it's a little bit bluish, you can up the Kelvin temperature and that'll make it a lot warmer. So the reason that I shoot mine at 5200K is because I've tested my camera sensor and found that 5200K is just the color temperature that I like the most, and that's something you can do. Kind of in the range of 58 to 5200 is where you want to be for neutral skin tones. So the way color temperature works if you want to use it creatively, because these are going to get you neutral skin tones if you set it to these in these scenarios, but if you want to use it creatively, you want to think of it as the opposite, because that color temperature is a compensation mode in your camera. So for example, candlelight is 2500, but if you're in daylight, like this scenario, we're using window light right now, so we are basically using daylight. So if I set the color temperature to 2500, it's gonna get really, really cool, right? Because the camera is thinking I'm compensating for something really warm, so what it's doing is adding a lot of blue to compensate for all that yellow. But if there isn't a lot of yellow and I'm in a neutral color, it's gonna make it blue. The same thing with if I'm in a neutral setting, but I set it all the way to like between 7,000 and 10,000, it's gonna get really warm because it's trying to compensate for the blue with a lot of yellow. So that's the way you can add either a lot of warmth or a lot of cool blue tones when you're in a neutral setting, is with your color temperature setting. So we're going to take some photos so that I can show you how it looks when you're in a neutral lighting situation, and I'm going to do one at 2500, one at 10,000, and one at 5500 so we can see the difference in them. So where you find the white balance in your camera is right here. It says white balance. I'm going to click on that and you'll see that there's a lot of different pictures here which give you different choices. This one over here is going to be auto white balance. This is what most cameras are set on when you get it. Like if you just buy your camera and you open it out of the box, it is usually on auto white balance. This is going to be sunny, which you can see says 5200. I mean, it's debatable as if it's 5200 to 55, 56-ish. This is going to be approximately 7000, which is going to be open shade, overcast, tungsten light, fluorescent light, flash, and then here is where you can manually set it. You can see I keep mine at 5200. So this is how you manually set it. You want to make sure when you set it that you hit this button because that's what's going to make it take, depending on your camera, but this one requires that you hit enter. And that is white balance. All right, so we are going to take 3 photos, and we are going to start at the lowest 2500. You can see that's really blue. Then we're going to go into the menu, and we're going to adjust it up to 5500. Make sure you hit this button. If you don't, it won't take. There's 5500. Nice and neutral. Then we're going to go up to 10,000, and you'll see this will get really warm. You can see that's nice and warm. So this is what allows you to be kind of creative when you're working in a neutral daylight environment. You can use color temperature to add a little coolness or add a little warmth. So that's color temperature. If you found that last bit of information to be helpful, then you can check out my Skillshare course that I have on camera basics, where I cover everything from the exposure pyramid to color temperature to filters and so much more. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, you can click the link below, jump on over to my Skillshare course, and hopefully I'll see you there.